Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the CleoCast. My name is Matt.
And I am RC.
Yeah, so we haven't done this in a while.
It's been like less than a month.
Less than a month.
Less than a month.
Less than a month.
It's the holiday season.
It's the holiday season, even though we recorded an episode. Oh, no,
It was
wait.
December 20th.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was our excuse. Was the holidays.
Oh, yeah. It's totally not like we've tried twice to record a podcast and it's not come to fruition either time.
Look, folks, this is what you get. Okay, you only the best from us.
You get what you pay for.
Which is nothing.
Yeah. So it snowed. I was being a doomer about climate change, even though we've talked about anti-doom reaction, because it was like relatively warm in December, and then
It snowed, so climate change is over, guys. We solved it.
Yeah,
it's cold in the Midwest.
For now.
Really cold. We're getting an Arctic polar vortex. It's going to drop temperatures down to like -10.
For now.
Yeah.
For now.
No, I think the polar vortex phenomena is just going to become more common, you know, as things continue to change.
But I'm going to be completely honest, as a now very small compact car owner, it's not great trying to get to work in the snow.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, not fun. I feel bad for people who walk or, ride a bike. But, if there was something that we could light on fire that burns a bunch of rails that you can take to places, that'd be awesome.
It would be nice to have some form of system that didn't rely on, having roads plowed.
Yeah.
It would be really nice if we had like a snow clearing vehicle that could ride on regularly scheduled routes.
Or it would be nice if the complex I live in, which includes a fee for maintenance, plowed. That'd be awesome.
I just think about how many tons, probably like gigatons at this point, of salt we put on the roads every single year.
Well, sometimes it's not even salt. Sometimes it's sand or like grit byproduct from a wastewater treatment plant.
I just
or
think
something.
as I walk into my office and I'm walking over these gigantic salt crystals, and it's like, where does this all go? And I don't mean that literally. Like, I know where it goes. It goes into like the wastewater and all that stuff. And it's like, it can't possibly be good for animals, for creatures to have most surfaces just covered in salt for like half of the year. And I think about that also because I saw a picture of, I think Chicago or someplace like that posted about how they weren't able to salt bike trails because of environmental concerns, because there was a bike trail going through like a park or something. And they're like, well, we don't want to. And then somebody posted a picture of Lakeshore Drive going right next to Lake Michigan. It's like, hey, here's like a 4-lane highway that you guys salt like the shit out of, and it's right next to Lake Michigan. So all that salt is going right there. And it's like, is that not worse?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe you let people work from home when it snows. Maybe we just agree that we don't have to go out in the snow. And if you have to, there's a safer way to do it that doesn't involve putting your car in a ditch or not being able to get out of up a hill outside of a complex or something.
Yeah, I get that we need emergency services to have roads cleared and stuff.
Yeah.
There's reasons to clear roads. It seems so nonsensical that we have, we just can't not go to work. We can't just we live in this day and age of technology where it's most people could just stay home.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't able to get to work, and I felt absolutely awful about it just because it was one of those things where just I know there's people who are going to make it in. And then when I talked to people who did make it in, they were talking about how they used their spare truck to get in. And it's just you guys just have a spare pickup truck hanging around. Also, pickup trucks, if you don't put weights in the bed, aren't really that great in the snow either.
Marketing has done wonders for the modern pickup truck industry.
Yeah.
Where just people, especially the Cybertruck, where people just think they can do all kinds of amazing things that they can't actually do.
The benefit of the pickup truck in the snow is all of the weight is being pushed onto the front wheels, which usually front wheel drive cars do way better in the snow than a rear wheel drive car. But if it's all or four wheel drive and you have basically no weight at all in the bed, the advantages of having all of the weight up front pulling you forward is negated if you hit a turn and your back end is way too light and can spin out. That's why you see people put sandbags in their truck beds. But also believing that your four-wheel drive, it also means four-wheel stop, causes accidents.
I just think about this like sometimes like a video game or something, like a strategy game almost, where it's just like the trade-offs between, you know, cars can get you from point A to point B much faster, much more efficiently, but then the trade-offs are everything else, like all the costs you have to pay. You have to pay a lot more money yearly. You have to pay
also
for gas.
not really
you have to pay for
efficient
maintenance. It's not efficient. It doesn't move a large amount of people. Traffic jams, all that stuff. But then also once you get into like the winter months, and it's like, okay, all the trucks you have to have, the maintaining all the roads, all the salt you have to pay for, and all the, that salt's gonna go. You know, it's gonna fuck with the wastewater disposal. All the stuff with like. Because I think, like, they didn't plow we got snow, like, all yesterday. They didn't get through to plow my neighborhood's road until, like, 1:20. Because there's just so many roads to plow because our entire, you know, road system, that's all we've ever been building in this area is a road system. So it's just huge. And, you know, are you going to pay for 28, you know, 280 trucks, 380, however many trucks you need to actually get that done in a timely manner?
Well, they do.
Yeah. Exactly.
And speaking about paying for trucks, once again, back to my coworkers, do you want to, cars are already expensive, do you want to pay for a second one to just keep in storage in case you have to drive in inclement weather?
This is where I'm just like, I am, and if you've been listening to this podcast for a while, no, we do not have e-bikes yet. I know we talked about that a while ago. I still want one, but we don't have one. Send any recommendations. But that's just where it's like, I'm kind of happy that e-bikes are kind of popping off and we're getting a lot more options and a lot more cheap options, because it is one of those, if it snows, you know, it's a lot easier to clear a sidewalk. Yeah. And if you live close to work, which I know a lot of people don't, it's probably a lot easier to just whip out the e-bike and just bike a mile, 2 mile, 3 miles to work in the cold snow rather than whip out the pickup truck. And then you also have to worry about, well, okay, if your backup pickup truck skids out on black ice or something and gets damaged, gets crashed or whatever, that's a lot more expensive of a bill than wiping out on a bike.
Yeah. Have you ever been in a snow-related accident?
I don't think so. I've had a couple of close calls where like my brakes lock up or something like that, but I haven't actually like been in an accident. Luckily, knock on wood.
I've also, knock on wood as well, I've also had a few close calls where like one I distinctly remember is I was feeling super confident about my ability to drive in the snow with my old vehicle, and my brakes locked up when I was turning, and I ended up like sliding straight, and I was like right in front of like a person who parked their truck in the street, and I was like about to like hit the truck, and I stopped about a foot before I hit it, and I was just like, oh. But my big one was putting my car in a ditch in the snow.
Man, that poor car.
Yeah, that was...
The things you put that thing through.
I mean, the only reason I had to do that is a previous employer was basically making me go in, even though this was, like, in the world of work from home, and I did have the, like, ability to work from home. It just wasn't an option in my employer or previous employer's eyes, so I had to drag myself out to go get on the highway. And you want to know a great way to get out of work? Put your
crash your car.
Crash your car.
You know, I was driving to work and home from work today, and there's a big hill. I don't want to like dox myself.
Yeah, there is a hill.
There's a hill on the way to work, like the direct road to work, and I guess school was out today because there was a ton of cars parked along that hill. People were sledding, which is like, oh, that's fun. That's a nice hill. There's a bunch of snow out. You know, you get the day off. I remember that when I was a kid. Great time. Except for that road, they were all parked in the road.
That road's not big enough.
It's not big enough. There's That's some of the only bike lanes we have in the area, or along that road. At least some of the only bike lanes I noticed in the area. Which, of course, they were parked all along the road, taking up all the bike lanes because that's actually just parking. That's what the bike lanes are there for.
Yeah.
But they're bike lanes, so obviously they're still in the road. So I was driving along it, and it's like, okay, hi UPS truck who is in my lane entirely because these people are blocking the road, parked sledding just today. And it's just like, okay, hi, I have to like effectively get onto the curb so that this truck doesn't hit me because my lane is completely unimpeded, but they're having to drive in the middle of the road. So that's just one of those like...
Also, like that hill, one is going uphill, but then it turns really steep. So if it's still like kind of icy out, if you're going to go uphill, which is the lane that would be all the cars parked along, you need to be able to maintain speed in order to get momentum going up the hill. So you can't just stop and wait because you're already going up a hill, and then it gets even steeper.
Also,
basically,
there was nowhere to stop and wait. I mean, they would have to think it's like a the road is designed like about a, say, quarter to half mile curve.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't exactly see, going uphill, you can't exactly see if anyone's coming, and they're parked all the way along it, so you would have to be parked like a half a mile back from the entrance where everybody would be coming from, the next place you could stop.
Yeah.
So it's just like, well, they can't stop driving or else that's just going to get backed up. Like, no one's going to be able to get anywhere, so they have to keep going. It's just like, just poor engineering and also just...
And that hill also, like, with it getting so steep at the point where I think that they were all stopping at the park, I mean, you need to maintain momentum. I mean, that hill's along my walking route, so...
And that's just one of those where it's like, it's a small anecdote I thought about today, but it's one of those, and I'm going to do this, like, harping on where everything's related to public transit, but it's one of those things where it's just a little sad that, like, we have to have 50 to 100 cars parked along this road blocking traffic, and like, people have to get into their cars by basically walking into oncoming traffic. I almost hit someone doing that, where they just open their door out of nowhere, and it's like, oh my God. And it's just a little sad that there's just no option for those people to not drive their cars there. Like, if you want to take your kids sledding, you have to drive your car. You have to park on that street because there's no parking anywhere else.
There actually is parking somewhere else. It's just slightly less convenient to park there.
That's true. There's an apartment complex over there, but I don't think that they want to.
No. I'm talking about the absolutely massive parking lot at the top of the hill. Yeah.
Yeah.
That you would simply have to walk like not even like an eighth of a mile to get to where you would want to, but that means you don't get to park really close to the hill. You just need to park a little bit away.
That is true.
Mm-hmm.
That is true. That is just them being lazy to a certain extent. But with the amount of cars that were there, and it does just make me think where it's like, well, what if the parents didn't get work off, Because then it's like, well, the kids don't have any way of getting there.
Also weird that the kids got the day off, because I thought the day of the era of the snow day is gone.
It mostly is, I think. I think this was largely both the district is trying to still give kids snow days. Like, I think that's kind of a trend that's been happening in schooling is, even though we can, Zoom from home, go to school online or whatever, we both know that it's not as good for young kids because they have a hard time focusing. They don't have all the school assets.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have all that stuff. And also, you got to give the kids a snow day. Come on. Like, what are you going to do? Give them the day off. Like, it's snowing. Come on. Like, yeah, they can go to school from home, but is there anything worse in my mind than going to school on a snow day and it's like, here, sit in your bedroom, log on, take like algebra.
Yeah.
Like, that would freaking suck. I'm so glad. Yeah, I think that they're still trying to do snow days.
Yeah, that's good because, I mean, we had the fortune or misfortune to experience a little bit of COVID education, but that was at the very, very end of college.
Yeah, which was not fun.
Yeah. I can't imagine being like, in K through 12 education and going through that. My brother was a senior in high school when COVID hit, so like he didn't even get like a high school graduation or anything like that. They just kind of sent them home, and like the district at the time wasn't issuing laptops to all of the kids. So basically they were just kind of like, we're just like, all right, you're kind of done in March, even though you have to like go till like, finish out the year. But
See ya.
Good
luck.
You're not going to get like basically the last little bit of your like K through 12 education. I mean, he didn't need it anyway, but
Yeah.
it's just, and like we had to do like a rescheduled version of his graduation, like literally like a year and a half after. And it's
Yeah.
just, you know, there's, I mean, he didn't get his prom. He didn't, and that's important to a 17-year-old. And I can't imagine how much it hurt to a bunch of other kids, especially like at very formative ages. I'm not saying that lockdowns were bad. That's not the opinion of this podcast. I feel like it was a hard decision, but it was the safe decision
Well, you
to
could
make.
say that it was good policy, but it was still bad for like the kids' development.
Yeah, because
Like,
I mean, it was like an international disaster,
Yeah.
on par with the Spanish flu.
like
It-
you can say, I'm not going to make that comparison.
Yeah.
Actually, I
Like-
was about to make a really dumb comparison.
It was a good policy to keep people safe and keep people healthy and not kill more Americans, even though we still did kill, like we did like a 9/11 a day for a little while there.
Yeah. Well, like chemotherapy is bad, but also it's good for you.
Yeah.
Like it's not great, but it does actually. It's better than the other thing. You know?
Yeah.
So, you know, it's a
I don't,
reactive operation. Right?
yeah, I mean, weird that it always circles back to our two favorite talking points, which is like COVID and trains.
It's almost like COVID is like our generation's big world-changing event that everyone experienced and everyone remembers, and it's most of what our society is effectively like based around at this point. Like
Mhm.
every single major, like you look at the news, it's like Aaron Rodgers talking about like vaccines and like the lockdown mask mandates or whatever, and it's like, dude, that was 3 years ago, and it's like, wait a second, here we are talking about it. It's almost like it was a big formative thing for our entire society. And also, we need to build more trains and buses. It's not even the trains. It's just, look, in our area, just run more freaking buses. Like that, it's as easy as that. Have more than like 3 or 4 bus routes. That's all you got to do. Just run more public transit to get people from point A to point B, so they don't have to own a car.
Speaking of local bus systems, I was being a responsible Kansas Citian,
Mm-hmm.
and I was using and also being cheap, and I was using our free bus system
Yes.
to move myself to an area where I wanted to consume alcoholic beverages.
There you go.
And I was going to return, and I went early enough because I'm old now that I could still catch the bus back.
Because the buses don't run
Yeah,
after.
The
Like 10.
buses don't run till it was this weekend, so I think they only ran to like 10:20 or something.
Yeah.
So I was at the bus stop, and I saw the bus coming, and myself and the people we were with, we all started waving the bus down, and the bus drove past us and kept on driving. And it's, I don't know, it was an extremely frustrating moment. I mean, I'm just complaining about one public transit incident, but I mean,
Well,
if you want people to use your system, maybe stop for people who are very obviously waving you down at a marked bus stop.
look, the tenets are, you got to make it quick, reliable, and robust, right? Like you got to have it be slightly faster than every 60 minutes.
Yeah.
And you got to have it be able to actually show up at the stops kind of near the time that they're supposed to show up and not be late.
Or if
And you got to have them run like weekend service and maybe run later than 12, maybe run when people are actually going to be needing them.
I understand not wanting to have a bunch of drunks on a bus and causing issues, but also that's safer than having them get into cars, which is the more popular option, I guess, in the area, since, you know, there's a parking minimum for bars.
Well, and I think, hi Joe.
Hi,
I
Joe.
think that a large portion of the problem is, I think that, hi Joe, that's my cat Joe. I think they're trying to, if you can pick it up on the microphone, that'd actually be kind of funny. I think they're trying to get rid of free fares in the area, basically. I think they're trying to create a narrative to a certain point. I've seen on the media. This isn't as related to what you were just saying, but it is related to the bus service in general, where I think they're trying to kind of cut down service. And I think they're trying to raise the perception of the buses being dangerous and being like full of drunks or like drugs or
I mean,
whatever.
what I was talking about is just a personal gripe with one bus
No,
driver.
I know.
but-
I've also seen a couple of reports from the KC Star and stuff of like, well, see all these people who are allowed to just walk on the bus, and they don't have to pay, and it's dangerous, and it's just like I think they're trying to even further curb out the actual bus use.
Okay, have you ever taken the bus? Because
Yeah.
the bus, like, there's only been a few times that it's been packed. Most of the time, there's like a handful of people on it. So if you're like saying, I also ride it at like weird times because I usually mainly use it as a way to get around to social events on weekends, not as like a commuter or anything like that.
Yeah.
But like, it's not like it's dangerous because there's not that many people on the bus at times where you would consider them the most dangerous, which is in the evening when people are going to, consume alcoholic beverages.
Well, the one time I thought it was dangerous here was I was walking to vote.
Mm-hmm.
I got on the bus to try and take it like one block to my to where I was walking.
Yeah.
Basically just to kind of use it as a little bit of a short haul
Mm-hmm.
because the bus network here sucks. So it didn't actually go where I was trying to go. And it was late enough at night that I think it was full of just people going home. And here I get on the bus. I'm sure these people all take the bus normally because in the area we're in, because the bus service sucks so much, you don't take it unless you have to, unfortunately, because it's not really robust enough to be reliably used by people just day to day. It's only used by people who have to use it, which is, I think, an indictment of the system as a whole. But anyways, I got on it, and then I got off it like 2 minutes later, and I think everybody was really mad at me because they're all just trying to get home. And here I get on, and I immediately pull the cord. I make it stop to pick me up, and then I make it stop, and it probably added like 5 minutes to their commute.
Yeah.
It's just like I thought that they were going to kill me because it's just like, oh yeah, here's this guy making the bus stop twice within 5 minutes.
Man.
But no, and that's the other thing is with public transit in general is going forward to a different issue that I think you were wanting to briefly mention is the the door plug falling off of the Boeing 747 MAX 9 Alaska Airlines A1882.
Or rest in peace, Alaska Airlines, a airline that decided to get rid of all their Airbuses in favor of Boeing 747 MAX 9s. And what fleet got grounded by the FAA?
Yeah.
And now an airline cannot fly any of its fleets. Good thing it bought Hawaiian Airlines, which has Airbuses.
Yeah. No, I got the America centricism, where it's just like, fuck Airbus, Boeing all the way. But it's just like, man, Boeing is really making me feel bad about that.
Oh,
because they really are kind of bad at planes now.
I felt that way as well until I had to take a series of flights recently, and all the flights were Airbuses, and the seats, the room, the screens, they were all better than riding in a Boeing plane.
The problem is you can kind of tell that they don't really care that much anymore. Like when you're on a more modern, regular, like Boeing 737 or something. Because I've also flown a lot the last year, and it's like I had the same experience. Where it's just like you can kind of tell Airbus. It's like they're really kind of doing what they can to make it a better experience. Probably because they're competing against the largest airplane manufacturer in the world.
Yeah.
And Boeing is just kind of like, you fly us because we're the only option. Whatever.
Yeah, I mean, you need to buy us because we're at American Stock Exchange. Like, we're on the New York Stock Exchange. Buy us, but buy our planes, please. Even though we're now blowing doors off of planes mid-flight.
Yeah, which I guess we're not really qualified to talk about that because what are we going to add? I don't know anything about.
I don't know. Like, they should have planned this out better because we do know people who are qualified to talk about it.
Yeah, but broadly, what I brought that up for is because another thing that we have here that could be mitigated by just other things, and another thing that's highlighted by this is, well, the airline industry is really safe, and I don't think anyone has died in like an airline accident since like 2019 in the U.S. I think that's the last time somebody died via like a plane crash or something. And I think it was that guy who hijacked a plane in Alaska, and it was just him, and I think he crashed it on purpose.
No. That was in Seattle, and I think
Yes.
that was an Alaskan Airlines flight.
That's what I'm saying. I think that's the last person to die on a commercial plane in the U.S.
and he, I mean, he did kill
yeah,
himself.
he committed suicide,
Yeah.
but he did technically die in a commercial aviation accident.
What, he's been called the Sky King?
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of forgot about that guy.
I never do. I was sitting in the lobby at Wichita State, like we were signing up for class, and I just saw it on CNN, and it's like, what the hell? And it's just like,
Was he just doing loop?
yeah, doing the loop-de-loops. And it's like, all right, I'm gonna take it down, and it's just like, man, okay. I don't even know. Like, I guess good for you, but also don't kill yourself.
There's a way to go out.
Yeah, but no, I bring that up because it's like, we take safety seriously in like aviation. People like campaign on public safety and like the New York subway, it's dangerous or whatever. But then you bring up like cars and how many tens of thousands of people die, and everyone's just like, whatever.
Yeah.
It's like got the school shooting syndrome where just nobody really cares about it anymore, and it's just kind of a baked in at faucet of American society where it's like, well, automotive deaths, what are you gonna do?
Yeah,
Like,
if
are we going to stop driving? Are we going to have other options for people to take?
if you're not intoxicated, you can slam into a minivan full of a family and most likely not get charged for it.
Yeah. And I think about that because I just see a lot of those cases here where like people hit bicyclists or hit like pedestrians, and especially the culture here versus Chicago.
Pedestrian walks in front of van, ends up in accident.
Mm-hmm. But just the culture here versus Chicago, where I've been a couple times, where the pedestrian will 100% just walk out in front of a car in Chicago, and the car will 100% be afraid of the pedestrian and stop. And it's like, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I gotta imagine pedestrian deaths are probably lower just because the cars actually respect the people walking there more, because they're more aggressive pedestrians. Whereas here in Kansas City, you're freaking terrified of cars because not only are they probably not going to even lose their license for killing somebody, but also they just like are hyper aggressive. It's very much more of a car centric culture, and it's just like any attempt to mitigate that, any attempt to make it more walkable, any attempt to make it more bikeable, any attempt to maybe get rid of a freeway, like maybe cap I-470 north, like maybe we don't need to entirely surround the downtown. It just gets met with like complete vitriol and like hate and just like attacks and stuff, and it's just the complete shutdown of this entire class of plane because one door fell out, nobody was hurt or injured, the plane landed safely, the plane is going to be able to be reused in the future if they ever clear that plane to fly again.
They're
versus
probably
an
not gonna
F1
clear this.
versus an F-150 like mowing down a small child. And then it's like, well, yeah, that's fine. We're not going to make the cars any smaller. In fact,
Top selling vehicle in the United
it's
States.
safer for the passengers if we make the car even larger because we don't have to actually consider the pedestrian at all or other cars at all. We only, in automotive
you
safety
kind of
standards,
have to consider other cars because you need to have like impact zones and
but
stuff
it's
like that.
safer for your car to be higher off the ground when impacting another car, right?
Yeah.
It's not safer for the other car because it's more likely to kill the person in the other car because you're hitting, a higher point of their car, and you're hitting less of the crumple zones. But they don't have to consider that as much because the Cybertruck is road legal, right?
Yeah.
They're allowed to drive an 8-ton solid steel, stainless steel, zero crumple zone, 0 to 60 in 3-second box. You're allowed to buy that and drive it on American roads. And that if that's not an indictment of road safety standards, I don't know what is, because it's just like it just makes it completely clear that you're allowed to do whatever you want as an auto manufacturer.
Yeah. I mean, this is kind of, oh my God, what happened?
I picked up Joe and she scratched me and my arm is bleeding profusely.
Also, I think your cat is currently attacking a bag of some sort.
Yeah.
So
we left some plastic bags in the other room for her. She loves them.
Okay.
She just goes to town on them, dude. You should see it.
We'll see it after this podcast.
Yeah. I probably need to put a Band-Aid on this, actually.
Yeah, I
This is
mean,
kinda-
probably. I mean,
kinda hurts.
We're at 30 minutes, so we can just stop and put a Band-Aid on that
Yeah.
and watch your cat smack a bag around.
All right. Thank you for
All right.
listening
Yep.
to the RC Gets Sepsis podcast.
All right. This has been another episode of CleoCast. My name is Matt.
And I am probably RC if I'm not dead after this podcast.
It's just a scratch. It's just kind of slightly bleeding. That's
Yeah,
more than what a cut should do. All right. You can follow us on Twitter at Cleo3.com. Cleo3 at
We really haven't. You can follow us on Twitter at
Cleo History.
You can email us at cleohistorypodcast@gmail.com. You can text us at 911. You can send in a voicemail at the same. Call before you dig at 8110 or 810. 8110.
I thought it was 811.
811.
Yeah.
Just call before you dig, people. It's important, okay?
Yeah. Sometimes the locates that do that stuff, though, they are not accurate. So you should call, because when they spray that stuff or put the things down, they will sometimes not be accurate. So don't trust the guy and with the spray paint.
It's better for your safety, your neighbor's safety, and for liability reasons. Just call before you dig, okay?
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So we're available where you get podcasts. All right, we need to go put a band on that. Bye.
Bye.